You got caught on camera.
Yeah, right.
I love it.
What? Me?
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hey, a question for you this morning. We want you to weigh in and let us know. It's been a topic of debate throughout the morning over on Wake Up Charlotte, the broadcast. And that is, should high school athletes be able to be paid for their name, image, likeness? We had this discussion a few years ago with college athletes. Now the discussion is moving to high school.
So, Kia, you've been covering it this morning.
Yes. So let's just go over the details of this proposal. It's coming out of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, and it could open the door for high school athletes to be paid. So a very important clarification here, guys. This would not mean directly compensating high schoolers for their performance or their athleticism. So it's through something called name, image, and likeness activities. And breaking it down, those kind of activities could be public appearances, it could be athlete-owned brands, or even hosting camps and clinics. And the proposal listed several examples, including social media presence, as a mean to earn some kind of tangible benefit. Those benefits can be anything from money to merchandise, but there are some restrictions. So again, students could not be paid for their performance, and athletes couldn't affiliate themselves with things like vaping or guns or alcohol. Students also wouldn't be able to associate with a particular school either. So if your student wanted to, say, host a camp or a clinic and made money off of doing so, they wouldn't be able to advertise the school that they are enrolled in. And then among other restrictions, all name, image, and likeness activities would have to be reported to the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. So the question is, should high school athletes be allowed to make money off of their image? And we had a lot of people chiming in. It was an overwhelming no, and there were a bunch of concerns, right? Like the pressure that you're putting on students because they're now worried about getting good grades, doing their high school sports and other extracurriculars, but then now this money aspect. And then others saying, okay, well, maybe football has a bunch of, attention on it, but what about chess? What about choir, other activities? Mm-hmm. So a lot of concerns here. And, okay, we've pulled them up. Another one saying, if you want to make money, go to a separate job. I mean, a lot of concerns here, but what are you guys thinking?
I think, you take high school, 14 to 18-year-old kids, they're still kids. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of responsibility. It's a whole different situation. In college athletics, it basically is a job.
Right.
It's a full-time job. And they have very little extra time at all. So they're committing themselves to a program, college programs that earn millions of dollars.
Right.
I think it's a whole different situation. College, you're preparing for life. You got that step closer to adulthood. But a 14-year-old kid, I played football in basketball in high school, and I just remember me getting paid to do this. We'd be right. It's unfair to the other students, those who are academically gifted in the choirs or other activities. Do you do the same for them? So it's a good point to make.
Well, you're not paid for your performance, though, right? It's just they could represent.
In college, it's not that you're paid. It's the same thing: name, image, and likeness. No, you're not the performance. No.
You could represent like your local coffee shop or something like that.
Exactly, and that's kind of what we were talking about. I mean, even with producers in the newsroom, in our own newsroom, this has sparked a lot of conversation. Folks saying, so like for example, back home, I know one of my little sister's friends, ridiculous athlete, and I mean, he's gotten scholarships from like a bunch of Big Ten schools, all of them actually trying to get him to skip out on his senior year. And so it would be stuff like, paying that student, maybe a mom and pop grocery store wants to do an ad, and you'd pay the high school athlete to say, hey, shop at this mom and pop. And so realistically, I mean, what kind of money are we talking about? How much?
Well, they can also get paid for TikToks, Instagram Reels, and I think it's a whole different world now.
Separate education. TikTok is a whole different separate education. That's such a conflict. I think
it is
at that young
because how do you do it
between 14 and 18 years old?
And
way too young.
I worry about the exploitation that can happen.
Totally, yes,
exactly.
With some parents or some adults or some grown-ups around these students. I mean, it's already a struggle to be a teenager, as we well know. We talked about mental health in schools and how it's been a real struggle for students. Adding money, which we know can have a corrupting influence.
Without a doubt.
Just would worry me. And the opportunity for exploiting these kids also worries me. Mm-hmm. And I think, okay, can you say, oh, well, you've channeled that into a scholarship? I don't know that that's really the answer either, because some students might not need a scholarship or want a scholarship, or might not. They might decide college is not for them. So I don't think that's the answer either.
Yeah. Some people chiming in, Joy saying, no, we need to pay all school kids. John Kelly saying, no, high school sports should just be fun, not as a money-making opportunity. I asked my husband what he thought about this because he was an athlete. He said he thought for sure with college because, like you said, Larry, college brings in so much money to the athletic department, the football team.
Right.
But high school, no, you're not. Usually those athletes aren't bringing in a ton of money to the school or the athletic department.
Some of the schools are very poor schools, too.
Well, I mean, and the coaches aren't getting paid a lot.
Totally.
The staff not getting paid a lot. In college, basically everybody was making money off them except for the students. You know, where in high school that's not really happening. You know, it's not like
on rare occasions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the clarification there too is the difference between high school and college. With these high school students, none of this money would be going to their programs, and that's why the proposal itself makes it this. And I see your face.
No,
I mean, that's muddy because how do you make sure that that's what's going on? But the proposal, for what it's worth, is saying, hey, you know, if you're going to host these camps and clinics, don't try to get off with, you know, the name either, right? Like, this is going to be just you, and it has to have nothing to do with the school, because once money entanglements start happening, I mean, this is it's too much. And the
other thing is, when we think about high schools, how many high schools? Lots of high schools. College, it's a much smaller group of educational facilities. So how does John Smith from so-and-so high school, how does anybody know who he is anyway?
Exactly.
Only the people in the high school and in that small conference.
Unless he's on social media and has a big following.
Right.
Well,
and
then do it that way. I say that maybe that's what TikTok is for.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you want to make some money, get on TikTok.
And that's why I think they have this social media presence kind of like, I don't want to say snuck in, but included in this list of like, hey, well, this is what it possibly could look like. And I think social media was there very intentionally because, as we know, teenagers, I mean, TikTok presence, that's a huge thing right now.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of that, we were talking with another producer about this just a few minutes ago, is the financial literacy aspect, which we briefly talked about in the show. But the difference, though, too, is how they would be like paying taxes on this money. And so basically, because you'd essentially be an independent contractor, you wouldn't have a W-2, you'd have a 1099, which changes the way how you pay taxes to begin with. And for better and for worse, some could argue that maybe that's too early to be having that conversation with your kids. But the other hand is right before you're sending them off to college and early adulthood, I mean, you're letting them know how to handle your money.
Yeah. No, it's not too early to have that conversation. We've done stories on how people need to have those classes in high school because we didn't have those classes in high school.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's super important.
I was a student athlete myself. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I've always been, not to parade myself, a well-spoken kid, and I couldn't imagine, being an athlete in high school and being able to like get in front of a camera and talk about like my favorite grocery store, like, oh, I can do ads for them, and maybe for like a little $100 off the side, So this is a multifaceted issue.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, folks, weigh in. Let us know what you think. Should student athletes in high school get paid for their name, image, and likeness? And we'll see you back here tomorrow morning for another edition of Wake Up Charlotte to Go.
Bye, everybody.